This is not dumb. This is not dumb. It is the entire reason why we have two different loadouts on the tanks. For some reason, everybody likes to get quite annoyed when someone uses CVS on medium tanks. And it is not dumb to do this. In fact, it's complete opposite. It's very, very useful to have a secondary loadout to be a spotting loadout. Because when you do get on Prokhorovka, when you do get on Muravanka, for example, sometimes this loadout is just flat out better to use than the other. Now, for those of you that are true diehard DPG, like that's all you care about, right? Is damage, you want to do the highest DPG possible, then yes, you're not going to choose CVS. But if you're just trying to get the mark of excellence, or just trying to get combined and just get the most out of the tank, on those types of maps, it makes sense to choose CVS over your standard loadout. And notice how I said your standard loadout. Because for both of these, I would only ever really use this on Prokhorovka, Muravanka maybe, maps that have lots and lots of bushes and are usually quite view range focused. For everything else, and I do mean pretty much everything else, I'll be using this, and then I would be using this. One thing that I will say though, is that vents does not replace either optics, a gun rammer, or stab. Stab's maybe debatable actually. But on a TVP, for example, I would probably rather have stab than a vents. For auto reloaders and auto loaders, such as the Progetto 46, the Progetto 65, the TVP in this respect, you can get away easily with optics and CVS as your secondary loadout with then either stab or vents. If you wanted to, you could even go with low noise exhaust over a stab or vents or anything like that. But if you can put a rammer on the tank, you put a rammer on the tank. Because the rammer for the medium tanks is the most important thing in the entire game. Which is the reason why, even on the 907, even on the secondary build, even in the scouting build, I still have the rammer. Because what is going to happen when you suddenly need to fight someone and they have a rammer and you don't? You are completely outclassed by that other tank. And there is no reason why you should ever drop the rammer on most tanks, unless it is a light tank. Or maybe like an FV 4005, but you get what I mean. And there is also no reason to drop optics for vents, because that makes 0 sense on a spotting build. If you're going to be using CVS, you should be using optics along with it. Because there is no magical view range number at which CVS becomes more worth it than optics. Your view range will devalue whatever camo rating they have on their tank past 445 meters. So that means that if you combine optics with CVS, it will help you out by decamo valuing anyone that is moving, and that includes light tanks, because with CVS, you are actually effectively removing 12.5% of that light tank's moving camo rating. Remember, light tanks do not change their camo rating when they are moving and stationary, but CVS would. So if you are using CVS along with optics, as soon as that light tank moves, you spot them. Or at least, you have a better chance of spotting them. So there is no reason ever to remove optics if you are using CVS. The higher the view range, the better CVS is going to work. To show you what I mean, iyouxin and his community have created a spreadsheet of the camo rating and how CVS interacts with everything and when you would spot the enemy or when you would get spotted. So all you have to do is type in the camo rating. Let's say, for example, it has a 50% camo rating, and like on my TVP, I have 504 view range right here. So we'll do 504. We can ignore the camo rating after firing because that's mostly irrelevant for what we're showing at the moment. You will see that in a no bush scenario, we would spot them at 277 meters. Now, one thing to note is that this spreadsheet counts as if you are a light tank. So there is no moving or stationary difference right now. If we wanted to, we could go back into here quickly and you'll see it has 28% camo. So you could then change it to say it was like 28% and then you would get the true moving camo and so forth. But let's just say that it is a light tank and it doesn't matter if it's moving or not. Now on the left here, you'll see that there is 25%, 50% and 80% bushes. These are the 3 different types of bushes in the game, and also trees. Fallen trees act as camo, as you are probably well aware. And as you can see, if we are having 50% camo and we are not firing, we would need to get 50 meters, so proxy range, if they're in a 80% bush or a 50% bush. However, if we used CVS with the correct slot, we would need to get to 95 meters for the 50% bush. And if you're using 25%, it is usually 164 or 186. Now that's all well and good. Let's say that we removed optics and put vents in here, just for example. As you can see now, my view range is 463 meters. So we're now going to type in 463, and you will now see that that has gone down a few meters. Now, you may think to yourself, oh, it seems fine. It seems fine until such point as you then look at the moving percentages. Because if you have a look in the no bush to 25% bush, if they are moving, I would spot them at 282 meters without a bush. That is all the way up from 257, and this is at 463 meters view range. I would spot them in a 25% bush at 200 meters. 117 meters away, I would spot them if they are in a 50% bush. And this is even if it is a light tank. What would happen if we went back to the 504 meters view range? Oh, we have just gained 20 meters on that person. We are now at 124 meters away that I would spot them if they're in a 50% bush. Yeah, this is quite a bit more. So no, it is definitely not worth to use vents over optics if you are doing a spotting build. Anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, and that optics is well and truly the best way of using a scouting build, what have we learnt from this? Well, we've learnt that CVS is very useful on medium tanks as a secondary build. You should not be using this on Himmelsdorf, for example. And as long as you know when to use it and when not to use it, you will be reaping the benefits of it. As I said earlier, if you are someone that only goes for damage, then yes, this video is not for you and you may think it's dumb. But for everybody else that just wants to play the game and maybe go for combined damage and just get marks, then this is fine. This is a very, very good way of doing that. And for maps like Prokhorovka, where you cannot always rely on your light tanks to do the correct thing, that is very, very useful. So no, it's not dumb to use CVS on medium tanks, as long as you use it correctly.